Coach.
Hello, how are you?
Barb Koval. Pleasure to see you again, of course.
Pleasure to see you, yes.
Have a seat. Welcome. Welcome, ladies. Good morning. Whoops. Good morning again, everyone, and welcome to the NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship first round pregame press conference here in Austin, Texas, featuring the University of Louisville. Our format again today is there will be an opening statement from head coach Jeff Walz, and congratulations to you coach, and your players for the tournament appearance. And then we will hear first from the student athletes. Once the questions are asked to them, we will dismiss the student athletes and then follow up with questions for head coach Walz. For those of you that are listening on Zoom, please remember to use the raised hand function to ask your questions. We will start with questions from the Austin media first, and then we'll go to those on Zoom. Coach, welcome again, and if you could just give us an opening statement, please.
Yes, thank you very much. We're just honored and excited to be back involved with the NCAA, the tournament. It's a great time of the year. So many exciting things, exciting games. We've been watching them as they've been going on, both on the men's side and the women's side. It's fun. It's what you work your entire year for, is to get to these games. And we're looking forward to a great ball game tomorrow night with a great Drake team that we've got the utmost respect for. Watched a ton of film and just really, really impressed with them. And just excited to be here with this group of ladies. We've had a really good season, and excited as I believe we're playing our best basketball right now.
Thank you, Coach. And we will introduce the players now. We have junior guard Hailey Van Lith and graduate student guard Mykasa Robinson with us. Please direct your questions to the players. All right, and just state your name and affiliation when the microphone comes to you, please.
Jim Vertuno with the Associated Press for the players. I mean, Coach talked about he thinks you're playing your best basketball right now. High expectations when the season started, some early losses. Tell me about this team now versus the way you started the season, and what you think you can accomplish with what you're doing on the court right now.
Yeah, I think for us right now, we really flipped a switch with our defense. I think earlier in the year, we were really focused on some different things, but I think right now we've all really been able to engage with each other and be focused, locked into the scout, and our intensity is different. March, we all know it's win or go home, so I think our mindset and our intensity has been different.
Yeah, I would say the thing I've noticed the most is everyone has stepped up on how hard they're going to play. Even me and Mykasa, we've started playing harder too than we thought we could before, and we've all just collectively took one step forward. And I think with how we're playing right now, the potential for this team is unlimited, but also at the same time, we also know our defaults, and so we're just going to continue to try and take that next step tomorrow and play even harder. And just take it one game at a time.
Jim, do you have a follow-up?
Sure. Jim Vertuno with the Associated Press. It's kind of a strange, it's not usual for Louisville, at least in recent years, to be opening on somebody else's home court in the NCAA tournament. Take away the pandemic tournament. Just what is it about this team that tells you can fight through potentially the home court advantage here in these early rounds, because that has been such a critical thing in the NCAA tournament for years now?
I think for us, we play good on the road. We compete hard on the road. We competed hard at Notre Dame. We competed hard at Virginia Tech. We play well on the road, and I think it gives us a little chip on our shoulder and adds a little bit of fuel to the fire. So I have no problem playing on the road. Of course, we love our fans, and we show out great at the Yum Center, but I know that we're going to have a good number that traveled with us, because that's how they roll. And, we're just excited to play. I think we're going to come out and just play hard, and what happens, happens.
Yes, 100% agree. Same thing as Hailey, yeah. That's a great answer. Great answer.
In the front, please.
Barba, WLKY. For you all, for those early games, maybe those close ones, how have that adversity maybe brought you guys closer together going into the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I think for us personally, it showed that we all really want it. I think there was never a moment that we all were like, okay, some people are bought in. I think we really showed that we all are collectively wanting to win, and I think that just brought our intensity, our chemistry closer together, like you said.
And a follow-up for you?
When you look at the tournament resume of your head coach right here, what makes him so special with getting you guys to this moment? I know there's still things you guys want to accomplish, that first national title, but what has he done for this program to continue to have success in the postseason?
Yeah, Coach Walz, he's a winner. He knows how to win. He knows how to push us and motivate us to get the best out of all of us. I think we just buy in and we trust him, and I know I do, and I know Hailey does, and I think we follow him to the end.
I'm going to interrupt. Our players do it. I haven't scored a point. I look good on the sideline, but I have not scored a point. It's the type of players that we have here. They understand when March hits, it's one and dones, my bads. They send you home, and they all buy in. And that's what I've said for 16 years. What's fun is when you get a group of players and they care more about each other. You know, if somebody forgets to box out, they aren't looking at me. That's my fault. It won't happen again. When they care more about each other than they worry about me taking them out of the game or seeing it, I know what the potential is, and that's where this team is right now. Because we've just been blessed to have competitors and fighters and great young ladies that represent our university.
All right, we'll continue with our questions for our student athletes, and if there's no other questions here in this room in Austin, we're going to go to folks on Zoom. The first question is going to come from Eric Crawford. Please identify your affiliation and ask your question now to the players.
Yeah, Eric Crawford from WDRB in Louisville. Guys, you have been, even in games you've lost, you had leads. You were up big on Ohio State, up on at Notre Dame. I guess, what do you think is the last piece for you? And just kind of, is it attention to detail or hard work? You've mentioned both things, but for being so close, what do you view is going to get you over the hump here in the tournament?
I think for us, it's just putting 40 minutes together. I think all those teams are great teams, of course, but I think it's more of a us problem. I think that 40 minutes is what gets you to advance in March, and so I'm just excited for us to do that.
Yeah, I think our third quarters are really important for us. We had really good third quarters in the ACC tournament, and we played really well. So I think for us, the difference is coming out from halftime, establishing dominance for the rest of the second half.
Eric, do you have a follow-up question?
Well, there was a question about the difficulty of playing on the road. Do you guys like being on the road together? I mean, it's a whole different experience than if you're in your own, rooms and whatever apartments at home. But getting to experience this on the road and being out in a different part, is there anything appealing about that to this team?
I mean, I would really say, personally, I don't know if a lot of us have very, care. I mean, we just want an opportunity. That's what it comes down to. And we just wanted an opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament, and we got it, and it happened to be on the road. But that's not going to affect our mindset. If we were a 4 seed and we got to play at home, that's an opportunity. Mm-hmm. That's all we needed was a chance, and we got it. So.
Thank you for those questions, Eric. Another reminder that if you are on Zoom and you wish to ask a question, we have a few minutes left for Hailey and for Mykasa. So please put up the raised hand function if you wish to ask another question or a question. Looks like, Eric, do you have another follow-up question? Eric Crawford? Not seeing any. Any questions here for the student athletes in the room? Yes, Jim Fortuno again.
Jim Vertuno with the Associated Press. I just asked you, what do you know about your first-round opponent? What do they bring, and what do you have to do to win?
Yeah, Drake's a great team. They play really well together. They move the ball. They cut hard. I just think they're a solid team all around. I think for us to win, we just have to stay engaged on the defensive end, get out in transition, and make sure we limit them to how many threes they get up.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen, they have very versatile players who can stretch the floor and also get points in the paint. Defense is going to be a big thing for us, and we're going to have to accept the challenge of guarding full court, and our bigs are going to have to guard on the perimeter, and we can't foul. We can't put them at the free throw line. We have to force them to score over our length and athleticism. So that's going to be the key for us, and it's just going to be a matter of discipline. But I think that we're at a point in the season where we have discipline. So it's a great opportunity against a great team on the national level, and it'll be fun.
Any further questions for our student athletes? Seeing none, I want to congratulate you ladies again, and the best of luck to you tomorrow.
Yes,
thank you for joining us today. Again, the Louisville locker room is open if you wish to go and meet with the players in the locker room and the other coaches. Thank you. We're going to now turn our questions over to head coach Jeff Walz. We'll start with questions here in Austin. And again, if you're on Zoom, please use the raised hand function and we'll call on you so you can ask Coach Walz your questions. Go ahead. Jim Vertuno.
Sure. Jim Vertuno with the Associated Press. Coach, maybe you could tell me about the evolution of the team from that top 10 start to a couple of early losses, and then really had to fight your way back to this spot. And what was it about this team that was able to do that?
Well, we put together a pretty competitive non-conference a schedule. I think that's the first thing. It's, we've lost to 9 teams, a total of 11 games. Lost twice to Notre Dame, twice to Virginia Tech. 8 of those teams are playing in the NCAA tournament, and one's playing in the NIT. It's not like, we played bad basketball. We were up early. We were up at the half on Ohio State. MTSU whipped our butt. I mean, they played extremely well. We played them down there. That's the one game I can tell you. They just whipped us. Every other game, our South Dakota State and the Bahamas, our Gonzaga game goes overtime, and they're both teams playing in the NCAA tournament. So it just took a while. And I said it before our year started at our kickoff banquet that we have each year, that this was going to be a team that was going to take some time just to learn each other, get a good feel for each other on the floor. And you can sense that as a coach as you're going through your preseason. And as the season continued to go, I tinkered with our lineup some, and it's not that it impacted really playing time for people, but it helped us to put a few of our starters on the bench because then we had scoring coming off the bench. And it just kind of gelled. In the past month and a half, we've really played some good basketball. So hopefully that will continue as we go forward.
Question right here, front row.
Britt Barba, WLKY. You mentioned my bads get you sent home. How have you seen this team continue to hold each other accountable?
Yeah, it's gotten better. We're playing a team tomorrow night in Drake that if you're not mentally engaged, it's just not about your physical effort of running up and down the floor. They read and react extremely well at the offensive end. If you have a mental breakdown, they're going to expose you. And that's something that we've talked to our players about. We've shown them film. And that's where you can't miss a shot at the offensive end, get frustrated, jog down the floor, because if you do, you're going to give up a 3 or a layup. And then all of a sudden it's the old, hey, that's my fault. No, I've already told him that's when the horn sounds and your rear end sitting on the bench next to me. Because we're not at a time of the year that it's okay for that if you want to continue to advance in this event. So they understand it. I really think they've noticed it and paid attention to it the past month. And as I've said, if we lose tomorrow night, I want it to be because we miss shots. that's it. I don't want to walk in here to a press conference and say, we didn't follow a scouting report. We left their shooters open. We turned the basketball over. I want to say, hey, we had shots. We played NC State at home. We went 1 for 16 in the fourth quarter. Well, you're going to lose. And I can honestly say, I walked into the press room going, we missed shots, guys. It happens. And, I've been doing this for 28 years. And I tell fans this too. I go to watch games. And they'll be like, God, I can't believe they can't make a shot. I don't understand it. And my favorite line, when someone will turn around, they'd be like, Coach, why aren't they making it? I'm like, I just think they're trying to piss you off. Not one player is ever trying to miss a shot. So if we come in here tomorrow night, if the score is not in our favor, and I can just look at a stat sheet and be like, we got good shots, the ball just didn't go in the basket. It's part of it. But I don't want it to be for any other reason. And our kids know that. They're balled in. I think they've been practicing very well. And I think they'll give great mental and physical effort tomorrow night.
Thank you, Coach. We're now going to turn to the folks on Zoom. Again, remember, use the raised hand function to ask questions. We'll now go to Eric Crawford again. Just state your affiliation, please, Eric, and ask your question.
Eric Crawford from WDRB, and Jeff, I'm not going to ask you how you can coach players to make shots, because if you could do that, it'd be perfect. But you have had teams get hot at the tournament, and you think about Antonita Slaughter and players like that just got in a zone. Are there teams that kind of somehow confidence clicks in and they do some things maybe they didn't even do during the regular season? And I don't know what you do to bring that about. Is that something you just hope for as a coach, especially with a team like this where you got some people who can make shots?
No, Eric, we do. And it's something that we really do work hard on as a staff. And I'm not saying not every staff doesn't do it. But, the intensity in practice ramps up for the past 2.5 weeks. And everybody's like, why don't you do this the entire year? Well, I'm not sure I'd even have 14 players left, because the intensity that you're going at for these past 2 weeks, the mental side of things, the physical side, is intense, because we know scouting reports, we know who's going left, who's going right, and we're drilling it. So as a coach, you've got to bring things in slowly. At least that's my approach. And then once you get to this time of the year, you're really ready to start going, and your kids are hungry for it. And then we just tell them, I'm big on shoot shots you shoot in practice. I tell them all the time, I'm not going to take you out for missing a shot as long as it's a shot you take in practice. And we do talk all the time about time and score, understanding the game. Eric, we take a lot of pride, our players do, in watching games, the men's tournament, the women's tournament, and we'll pull clips. We'll pull different scenarios that go on in a game, and it's a teaching moment for us just as well, going, look what happened here. And, you had a timeout left. You had this. As a player, you have to know the situation, what's going on during a game. And we do a lot of scenarios throughout practice, up to we've got 2 fouls to give, to understand, to try to practice some of it. You can't practice all of it. But I think the more we can do at this point in time, the better prepared our kids are. And then we do explain to them, it is a game. It's a game, and you have to have fun playing it. And I think our kids enjoy it at this time of the year also.
Thank you for the question. Eric, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I was going to ask one more thing. We talk a lot about your guards, but Nyla Harris and Olivia Cochran. Olivia is obviously seasoned in the NCAA tournament. She made free throws to get you to a Final Four last year, and Nyla's like right there. How important are they, and what have you seen from them, particularly here in the postseason?
Yeah, they're both going to be all of our posts, Liz and Josie, but especially O and Nyla, especially how Drake likes to play. They're going to be 5 out at times. Spread the floor. You've got to be able to guard at the 3-point line, and those two can do that, which is a plus for us. And they rebound the ball well, because we're going to need everybody to show up for this ball game tomorrow. It's going to be extremely competitive. Drake's very well coached. They're very patient at the offensive end. As soon as you relax, the person you're guarding is going to back cut you, step out for a three. Just really impressed. So we're going to need our 4s and 5s to be able to defend on the 3-point line tomorrow. So I really think those two will have to be key for us.
Thank you again, Eric. We have a few minutes left for this press conference. We will go to Jim Fortuno here from the Associated Press. Jim, your question.
Jeff, big picture on the women's tournament. The change in the format with the 2 regional sites for the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. You've been through these tournaments. You've been through long runs in these tournaments. What do you think of those changes and any impact that you see, positive, negative, indifferent, in terms of just for fans, television, any of it? Yeah,
no, I think, what we're trying to do in the women's game is grow those regionals. Because it is hard for a fan base. I say it all the time, and I could be wrong, but I think we're holding a men's a regional at the Yum Center. Is that right? Yeah, we're holding, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's basically sold out already before they even know what teams are going. Of course, you have to hold your blocks for the 4 teams, but in women's basketball, that's just not being done. So by putting it in 2 regionals, I think it's going to hopefully help enhance the player experience by the fan experience. Now, I've been on record saying it. I've always been a huge fan of sending the Sweet 16 to Vegas. Before just have one spot, and I don't care where it is, have one, but you want to have a destination spot. I've always said that. I think there's 6 conference tournaments now that are playing their championship in Vegas. Just if your team loses, there's still something to do. There's places to go. There's entertainment. There's wherever it might be. But even as a coach, you're always hoping to be playing in a Sweet 16, then hopefully a Final Four. I'd book my tickets and go and say, hey, wherever the Sweet 16, if they're all in one spot, I'd book it to go. Now, hopefully I can get a credit because I'm playing in it. But if we're not, you get a chance to go and you're watching great basketball games for 4 days. So I think it's a good idea, and I'm hoping Seattle and Greenville attract and do very well. I know with South Carolina being in Greenville, I know they'll bring a huge crowd for their games. And it won't surprise me if a lot of those fans are also going to other games, which is, I think, that's your draw. That's what you're trying to do, is get basketball fans to go watch basketball games. Yeah, you're welcome. And I think it's a huge, I think the other thing that's helped our game for this year is the lines. We can't bet on it. We're not allowed to bet on it. But the excitement that it brings, just the casual fan. Y'all follow Barstool Sports on Twitter. Everybody does. That Corpus Christi game. The guy he dribbling out and puts up a 3 and bangs it. It covered the line. The whole place is going crazy. I just think for women's basketball, there's more interest now for the casual fan. So I think that's a big thing. Now, obviously, we can't bet on it or anything like that. We all know that. But if you're asking what can enhance our game, that little thing right there, I think, has already. So I think that's a key component. The more that the casual viewer can be engaged with the women's basketball, the better. Because once you get them watching, because for 16 years here, when I got to Louisville, we averaged about 2,500 fans a night. I'd go speak all around town, and they'd be like, how much? What's your speaking fee? I go, there is none. I just want you to come to a game. Just come to a game one time. You don't like it, don't come back. And the beautiful thing now in our Yum Center, we do sell some beverages. So I just say, just come. You don't like it, have 2 beers, and then go home. But the amount of people that come back after watching a game because like, wow, it's the first women's basketball game I've been to. I'm just so impressed with the athleticism, the talent, the quality of play. And now, we lead our league in attendance in women's basketball. And we're 6th in our league if you count men's basketball. So we outdraw 10 of the men's basketball teams in the ACC, which I think is pretty impressive. And that's because we just get out there. We're promoting our product, and then our players do a great job. I may give you more you wanted, but when I'm not stuttering much, I keep talking.
Do you have a follow-up, Jim?
Well, yeah, I'd like to take
1 second. With a microphone. Thank you. Jim Fortuno, Associated Press
since you're
again.
Talking about the attendance, you don't have that home court this year for these 2 rounds. I asked your players about that. Just to kind of bring it back to this tournament and this team playing on the road for these first 2 rounds, not being in front of those home fans. What tells you this team can fight through basically just being on the road for this whole tournament?
Yeah, I mean, you're really on the road, true road game, possibly 1 game. You know, our game tomorrow night's a neutral site game. So, you know, Drake's going to have the same issues we have. You aren't playing at home. Whoever wins that game tomorrow, and if Texas wins, there's your one true road game. We play well on the road. I've been pleased. We you know, it's a 1-possession game at Virginia Tech. We lose in overtime at Notre Dame. So I'm encouraged with how we play. Sure, we'd love to be playing at home, but I've seen some toughness from this team that gives me confidence that, you know, tomorrow night, it's not going to be something where our players are looking around going, man, I wish we were playing at home. I wish we had our fans here, you know, and we will have some here, but obviously it's not a home court advantage. But throughout this tournament, you're really one true road game.
We have a few more minutes for questions for Coach Walz, if there are any. I don't see any in the Zoom platform, so thank you folks there for joining us. Any other questions here in Austin for Coach? All right, seeing none, Coach, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations again for you and your team
Appreciate
qualifying, and good luck tomorrow night against Drake.
Thank you
for joining us, Coach.
I appreciate it, and I just would like to state that I wished Vic would have done a better job with the weather.
We'll pass that along, Coach.
Please
Absolutely.
tell Vic. I mean,
All right.
it's the one thing I asked from him, and he can't even bring that.
Understood. Thank you,
Unbelievable.
Coach.
Thank you.
And that will conclude our first round pregame news conference with University of Louisville. A recording of this press conference will be posted in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at www.ncaa.veritone.com. Press conference transcripts are provided by ASAP and will be posted shortly. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us.